The real fascists? How Democrats project their authoritarian agenda. In recent years, Democrats have ramped up their accusations that former President Donald Trump and his supporters are fascists, branding them as threats to democracy. However, upon closer inspection, it becomes evident that the Democratic Party's policies and actions align far more closely with fascist principles, combining government and corporate power, suppressing free speech, undermining the right to bear arms, and attacking the constitutional foundation of the Electoral College. This article examines how the left's agenda mirrors the very authoritarian tendencies they claim to oppose. Fascism, a combination of government and corporate power. One of fascism's defining traits, as Benito Mussolini described it, is the merger of state and corporate power. Today, the Democratic Party openly supports policies that align corporations with government interests, using mechanisms such as environmental, social, and governance, ESG scores, censorship partnerships with social media companies, and corporate-backed social justice campaigns. Examples of fascist-like collusion: big tech censorship. The Twitter files, released in 2022, revealed that the FBI and other government agencies pressured platforms like Twitter, now X, to censor political speech and news stories unfavorable to Democrats, including reports about Hunter Biden's laptop. Vaccine mandates and COVID policies. Democrats pushed corporations to enforce vaccine mandates, shutting down businesses and firing employees who refused compliance, effectively merging corporate and governmental enforcement. ESG enforcement. Large corporations are pressured to adopt ESG policies that enforce progressive ideologies under the threat of being blacklisted from financial institutions. This coordination between government and corporations mirrors Mussolini's vision of centralized power, making the Democratic Party's policies fundamentally authoritarian. Free speech under attack. Another hallmark of authoritarian regimes is the suppression of dissenting voices. Democrats have consistently advocated policies and practices that restrict free speech under the guise of combating misinformation and hate speech. Key examples: the Disinformation Governance Board. Proposed in 2022, this board, labeled by critics as the Ministry of Truth, sought to monitor and control online narratives before public backlash forced its dissolution. Cancel culture. High-profile deplatforming of conservatives like Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, and others illustrates the left's efforts to silence opposition. Social media collusion. Reports have revealed that government agencies pressured social media companies to remove content critical of COVID-19 lockdowns, election integrity, and other democratic policies. Fascism thrives on controlling information, and the Democratic Party's actions clearly aim to monopolize communication channels to stifle dissent. Second Amendment. Erosion. Fascist regimes disarm their populations to consolidate control. Similarly, Democrats have relentlessly pushed for stricter gun control laws, including bans on assault weapons and restrictions on ammunition. Statistics and data. Firearm ownership and crime rates. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report 2022, cities with strict gun control laws like Chicago and Los Angeles consistently experience higher violent crime rates than areas with more lenient policies. Self-defense cases. A 2021 study by the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, revealed that firearms are used defensively $500,000 3 million times per year, proving their role in preventing crimes. By disarming the population, Democrats follow the fascist playbook of eliminating citizens' means to resist tyranny. The Electoral College, safeguard against mob rule. Democrats have increasingly pushed to abolish the Electoral College, calling it undemocratic. However, the Founding Fathers specifically designed this system to prevent mob rule and protect smaller states from being dominated by densely populated urban centers. Why the Electoral College matters. Protecting minority voices. The Electoral College ensures that less populous states like Wyoming and Montana have a say in national elections, preventing coastal elites in New York and California from deciding outcomes. Promoting national unity. It forces candidates to campaign across the country, addressing diverse regional concerns rather than focusing solely on urban areas. preventing tyranny of the majority. As James Madison argued in Federalist No. 10, direct democracy risks devolving into mob rule, where majorities trample minority rights. Statistics highlighting the danger, urban versus rural divide. In the 2020 election, Joe Biden won 509 counties, while Trump won 2,547 counties. Despite this, Biden secured the presidency due to densely populated blue areas. Eliminating the Electoral College would permanently disenfranchise rural voters. Population clustering. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, nearly 40% of Americans live in just 10 states. Without the Electoral College, elections would be decided by a handful of urban centers, leaving smaller states voiceless. Conclusion: who are the real fascists? Democrats accuse conservatives and Trump supporters of fascism, but their own policies more closely resemble authoritarian rule. They advocate merging government and corporate power, silencing opposition, disarming citizens, and abolishing the Electoral College, all key traits of fascist regimes. As Americans, we must defend the principles of free speech, gun rights, and fair representation to preserve our republic. Abolishing the Electoral College would irreparably shift power to urban elites, leaving rural and small-town America without a voice. Rather than fighting imagined fascism, it's time to recognize the real threat to democracy, the Democratic Party's authoritarian agenda. Quotes to reflect on. Thomas Jefferson. The natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. James Madison. Where a majority are united by a common interest, the rights of the minority will be insecure. Benjamin Franklin. Democracy is two wolves and a lamb, voting on what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote. The conflict for the soul of America is not between democracy and fascism, but rather between constitutional liberty and the encroaching authoritarianism of the left.